Welcome to the Operation Game Night podcast, back and better than ever. Today, I'm joined by Clayton. How are you, Clay?
I'm good. I kind of miss our friends.
I know. We had the opportunity to just talk with Tiff from Tiff.board.games. And
Yes.
she was amazing. She plays more games than the rest of us combined. So it was awesome to get her perspective on games that are new to her this year. Jared shared a game that he plays with his 2-year-old, 3-year-old.
Yep.
So yeah, that we're coming off that high, but now it's just the two of us, and we're gonna talk publishers that had a killer year this year.
Slated.
And I want to say before we get to the publishers, I listen to a lot of like video game podcasts, and there's this weird thing now that's going on where like board gamers are talking about video games and video gamers are talking about board games, and there's this kind of like the Venn diagram is overlapping more and more. It seems like Decision Space just talked about like board or video games that they're liking, and they had like the designer of UFO 50, which is like a collection of smaller video games that are all kind of mashed up in this like I don't know cornucopia of games like from a fake video game company kind of re-release. It's really cool. UFO 50, and then you had like Jamie Stegmaier talking about Dispatch, which I have been loving, and this Venn diagram is overlapping more and more. And these video game podcasts every year they do Game of the Year, right? And they talk about all the hot new games that came out this year that they played, and they have the opportunity to play like all of the biggest games that come out every single year because all these big publishers put these huge games out. Stuff like that, unless you are Dice Tower and getting sent every board game that is ever created, it's so hard to do as a creator. Like you are never going to play all of the hottest games that year because it comes with like a financial burden, it comes with a time burden, and board games are not something that you can just like boot up and learn as you go. Like a video game, like you kind of meet it on its own terms, it teaches you the mechanics, and then you kind of dive in slowly. Like you are learning by doing. A board game is kind of different where you have to like read all the rules and then you have to watch the videos and you have to like kind of slowly ease yourself into some of those heavier board games. And so we don't get to play all the hottest board games every single year. So it's cool to be able to talk games that are new to us. And I love that. And I think it's cool. And then you get to experience games that came out, 50 plus years ago and they're new again and exciting to you because they're new. So I really enjoyed that conversation. But we do get to appreciate from afar publishers that have had killer years. So I think that's what we're going to talk about today is those publishers that have put out awesome games that are getting tons of traction that are people are loving. So Clay, what are your thoughts on publishers this year? Who had a great year?
I just want to make a statement about publishers in general before we start.
Please.
I Board games are quite a tactile experience for me, and I would say the publisher of a game might be more important to me
Mm,
than the designer in a
okay.
lot of cases. I love some of these publishers. They're like almost insta buys for me just because I like the production that they put on the game, the care they take with it. To me, it makes a huge difference. I will play a game that is objectively worse, but has a good production
Yeah.
more often than I'll play a game that is a better game that has a bad production. Maybe I'm vapid, but I like to play games that draw people in. And oftentimes your crusty old Euro game that, has got some grumpy looking man on the front cover. I am specifically talking about I just picked up an old version of Medici the other day and I was like, this might be the ugliest looking game I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Um the but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I'm saying like publishers are important to me. So this list is near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, and I was gonna do a little bit of research on this one and look up some of the hottest new publishers. If you go to like Board Game Geek and you do browse publishers, there are 145 pages of publishers that are listed. It's crazy. Like you could spend all day, multiple days, weeks, years, like clicking through each of these and looking through a board game catalog. And it's hard to pick out those that are like really shining. And it's kind of this interesting dynamic where like just like movies, just like or video games, just like all these other mediums, like the ones that throw the money at their productions and the publicity and the the advertisement, those are the ones that really get traction overall. And Kickstarter's kind of changed that dynamic a little bit, where like smaller publishers can put stuff out on Kickstarter, but you might not get all the Instagram ads and the Facebook ads and all these other things. You might not be getting the influencers out there publishing or posting about your game. So it's kind of an interesting space for publishers, and a lot of those smaller publications kind of slip by unnoticed, which is really sad. So I think, at least on my list, a lot of these are the big boys, the big publishers, but they put out good productions and they have all the money to throw at problems. So yeah, this is not a disparaging post or podcast about the small guy. Like, go support the little guy, go support the little publisher, and try some of their games, because some of them are great, but they might not have the money to throw at those publications. So, Clay, who do you have for your first publisher that had a great year?
Listen, if you've listened to the podcast, I love Stonemaier games, and this year was a great year for Stonemaier games, in my humble opinion. The 8-year project by Jamie himself, Vantage, got released. It's been a mixed bag on the review side. A lot of people love it. Some people hate it. Whether you're in either camp, you have to admit it's impressive, and I think it's doing very well. I personally have enjoyed it far more than I ever thought I would enjoy a game like that, so that's to its credit. And then FinSpan came out, I think, in 2025 as well.
Yep.
And that's been my favorite of the Spaniverse. So I really appreciate that one. There might be more, but
Origin Story
just came out. That one I didn't care for as much, but a lot of people are loving it. I saw it in a lot of the Dice Towers top 10 of the year. So if that's your kind of thing, I just didn't care for the special abilities, like trying to keep track of them, but it's a cool game. And Stonemaier Games is a company that I've always appreciated. None of their games are like my favorite game of all time, but like is going to be a theme throughout these publishers. All of their games are games I enjoy and I'm willing to take a flyer on and give a whirl, because I know I listen to Jamie's live streams. I listen to, the intention he puts into his products, and I've just been continuing to enjoy Stonemaier games throughout 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. They had a killer year, and it was good to see them like finally get Jamie's passion project out after 8 years. Like that's a long time for a board game publication. Yeah. Like, I know people work on these things for years, but with the size and scope of that game for how small their team is, that is an accomplishment in itself. My first one is going to be Chip Theory. Chip Theory had a great year, and I was never really a Chip Theory guy until I finally got Too Many Bones played, but they had a good year. I kind of like looked back. They had Hoplomachus Victorum finally came out. That was a Kickstarter game that finally came out this year. Got that played, loved it. And then they also had Roth, and Roth was like a big one that got a little more traction than Hoplomachus, a little more approachable, a little easier to pick up, a little simpler to understand. But that game is cool too, and I really enjoyed that one. So they don't have 10 publications, but Chip Theory is a pretty small team, and it was cool to see them put out 2 killer games back to back.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever played a single Chip Theory game.
Ooh,
I might need to fix that.
Yeah, Too Many Bones is probably their most popular. That one's always lauded amongst the board game community, and it's so good. Like, you open up that box and you just have this huge treasure trove of dice just staring you at the face, and you can level up your character. And man, it feels so good to play with those dice. So, what else you got?
Okay, big caveat here. I know it's going to seem like I'm rooting for the home team because we just had this guy on the podcast last week.
Yep.
Nick Murray was on our podcast, but I swear to you, Bitewing Games would have been on my list no matter what, because I know at the start of this all, I said the production outweighs the design and designer. But when you can marry a nice production with my favorite designer, like Bitewing does, I mean, these guys make a killing on finding crusty old Knizia games and just slapping on a new theme, ramping up the production, and putting that thing out there for an audience that demands a little more from their board games. And I've loved their Cosmic Silos trilogy,
Yep.
Silos, Orbit, Ego. Enjoyed all three of those. They've come out with Gazebo and Gingham. I haven't gotten those yet, but I hear they're doing well.
Oh yeah.
Michael at Bearwin Plays Games says Gazebo might be one of his favorite games of the year. So, I mean, I think he said that, but maybe I'm putting words in his mouth.
He said it might be one of his top games, and I
Yeah.
immediately ordered it. Like,
yeah. So, Bitewing, I mean, they're on the rise. I pretty much back anything they do because usually it's got Knizia involved, and I know their production values off the charts. So, yeah, shout out to Bitewing. They're definitely smaller. I mean, goodness gracious, the guys that run it are dentists for their job. So, like, they're doing this in their free non-dentistry time. It's amazing to see that what they're able to do. But yeah,
they're killing it. Yeah. Bitewing is doing awesome stuff. And they were our first giveaway that we ever did for OGN, which we gave away the Ego, Silos, Orbit trilogy. That was really cool to see. My next one is going to be Fantasy Flight. You know I'm a Fantasy Flight boy.
You are.
You know I'm a fanboy. Yep. And these games are not for everyone. But I think they did something really cool this year that really makes them shine. So Fantasy Flight got caught up in the whole like Asmodee black hole of being absorbed and reshuffled. And Asmodee is such this large corporation that some of these publishers and stuff are getting shifted underneath other companies and disbanded. And there's some weird stuff going on with Asmodee right now. And Fantasy Flight took the opportunity to kind of regroup, regather, and come back in a big way. And a lot of their franchises, they have a lot of like living card games and stuff like that, are coming back in a big way. So Marvel Champions, one of my favorites. They kind of took a break. People were, the fans were not happy because they're so used to this like kind of recurring episodic releases of characters and expansions and scenario packs and all this stuff. But they kind of took a step back and they came out with, the X-Men releases that were all killer. They kind of did a refresh on characters that they had already published, but are like coming back in a new way. Black Panther with Shuri is coming back. Like they kind of restructured a little bit, and then they just released like the X-Men, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then they have the Civil War expansion coming out. That stuff is all killer. Got me reinvested in Marvel Champions. Right when I was ready to quit, they pulled me back in. And then they did a cool thing. Arkham Horror, the card game, is a huge franchise for them. It's right up there with Marvel Champions and the Lord of the Rings living card game. They kind of took a step back from that, and now they are, it might be coming out in 2026, so that's a little bit of a caveat, but they are like reintroducing a new starting pack for Arkham Horror, the card game. And it might muddy the waters a little bit, but I think it's like an expand alone, where you can buy this new set and get new investigators and new scenarios and all this stuff, but it's also another jumping in point for people that have never played this game and want to onboard. So I think a lot of that stuff is pretty cool and able to do that under all the turmoil that they've been under through the Asmodee shuffle up. Also, Star Wars, the deck building game, is going strong. They had the Clone Wars release. They're releasing a Mandalorian expansion pack. So yeah, they're coming back in a big way. Fantasy Flight always is great, but they had a killer year considering the tumultuous corporate structuring that they had going on.
That is interesting. I did not know all that backstory.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome to hear that they're still kicking and putting out that good content. You are definitely a Fantasy Flight fanboy. I need to invest more in these publishers you speak of, because what did I play from Fantasy Flight? Did they make Outer Rim?
They did make Outer Rim, yeah.
Okay. They definitely have a vibe to their games. Like, I played that. It's got the insert that's like a big valley. You know what I'm talking about? It's like two big cardboard
usually
humps.
Usually they have like some weird organizers that they throw in there. Sometimes they're like the plastic with Marvel Champions, and sometimes they're just like the big cardboard valley with all the
Yeah.
cards sitting in the middle.
Yeah.
And yeah, they have like big either living card games or strategic card games like your Outer Rim. So yeah, some of that stuff is really unique and really cool. And they take IPs that people love and they make them into great mechanics that play really well. So
Awesome. Yeah, my next one is going to come with another caveat. I do nothing without prefacing it. Journalistic integrity here. So Paul Solomon is a fan of the show, or not a fan of the show. I don't think he's a fan of the show, but he's a friend of the show, and we're a fan of Paul Solomon.
That's right.
And he came on our show before Gamehead had released any games at all. They were just making playmats, by my understanding, and then they wanted to get into the board gaming space. So Paul Solomon came on as creative director for that, and they released their first wave of games in 2025. Trinket Trove being the flagship one of those, and it has been doing really well. They came out with 6 games. It was like Trinket Trove, Venture Angels, Foolish Fool,
No loose
First Class Letters, No Loose Ends, and Corgi Pile Up. Yes. Yep. All like little light family games. They have like a thinky line that's still approachable. And then they have like a casual line, and then they have a party line. So they're all like these nice little 6x6 boxes. And I just thought they made an awesome entrance into the scene this year, especially Trinket Trove. Kudos to that. These are games that I've played many times. I bought them on my own. I have no financial holdings to Gamehead. But I got all 6, and I've enjoyed them all to various degrees. Probably No Loose Ends or Trinket Trove are my favorites, but the other ones are still good too. And I got a preview of what's coming up in the next wave of games. They got some Knizias coming out. There's going to be some cool stuff for Wave 2 in Gamehead. I think under Paul Solomon's creative direction, this company is going to be in good hands. He knows what he's doing. He knows what makes a tight little good game. Yep. And yeah, they're right up my alley. So I'm going to be Gamehead fanboying till I hit my grave, probably. So
yeah, what a way to enter the scene. And he gave us like a small sneak peek of some of the games that they were like fielding and tinkering with when he came on the podcast. So if you want to hear some more of that, go back to that episode. It was a while ago. I think he was our first ever guest.
I think right after Amanda. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he's super smart guy. He's a great friend of the show. And we loved having him on. Super excited. I will instantly pre-order that stuff when it comes online. So yeah, way to go, Gamehead. My next one is going to be Restoration Games. And Restoration Games, they have their own line. They have some like older lines that they make new. They're republishing Return to Dark Tower, which was a big hit when it came out a couple years ago. They had their big box of Thunder Road Vendetta. They published a couple of expansions for that this year, which is a great, awesome game. And the expansions add some really cool twists to it. They do the Unmatched series, which I really enjoy. And that's a game that is easy to play, easy to get to the table. And I always love those Unmatched. They came out with Unmatched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And it is part of their cooperative line of Unmatched. You can take these characters and mix them in with the competitive boxes. But man, I love Ninja Turtles, and this is like probably one of the best Unmatched games that they've put out to date. I think it's awesome. The way that it plays, the enemies play different. The turtles all play different. I'm a big turtle fanboy, TMNT all the way. So yeah, Restoration Games, they are just like kind of sneaking by. Like, I don't think that they're like the most widely published publisher out there or the widely advertised. But man, they are like putting out sneaky bangers. So Restoration Games is had themselves a year.
No, I just played Ali versus Lee, and that was my first time playing Unmatched in like 4 years, probably.
Nice. Yeah, that one came out this year.
Yeah, I forgot what a great system Unmatched is.
Yeah, it's so simple, and anybody can learn it. Anybody can sit down and play it. They have these Stars and Stripes coming out in 2026. That was just announced recently, and that's got like Rosie the Riveter and a couple of other like historic patriotic figures that I'm really excited for.
Nice, man. Well, my last one is going to be All Play. I don't know why. I don't know that. I mean, they just have such a consistent output
Yeah.
in both box size and in, just approachable, fun games. I think River Valley Glassworks is probably my favorite game from them.
Yeah.
That game's so quick and fun. You can play with anybody. It kind of replaced Azul for me. But specifically their little square box line. I don't know what the size of that is. Might be a
Yeah.
4x4, but I will just pretty much buy those unhinged. I don't know what's in them, but I have so many of them now, and they look so nice on the shelf. The publishers take note, like
Yeah.
just having that consistent shelf presence. Like and especially at a price point where they're like a $20 little box, and I know it's going to be at least decent,
Yeah.
and they are, and they do a lot of trick takers of different varieties. So I've enjoyed playing some of those, Maury and Lunar, Ghosts of Christmas. Like they just find these interesting little card games and put them in those 4x4 boxes. It's a great company if you just want like a consistent family weight game. I don't know if they have too many like crazy complicated games, which is probably why I like them. I think they did Through the Desert, which
Yeah.
is a Knizia game. That was probably last year. But this year, probably their biggest hit for this podcast was Ruins by John D. Clare. We loved that. Again, just another little card game in a 4x4 box, nice production. Yeah, All Play. And then they got their teeny weeny box line now.
Slambo.
Where they're just like $10 little card games. And again, I don't, at $10 with a nice cover on it and from a company I trust, it's just like an instant buy. I'm like Soda Jerk, don't know anything about it. I like the art, and it's $10, and it's going to look nice next to all my other All Play stuff. So yeah, All Play's a publisher that is just a hit for me.
They're so consistent. Like every year they have probably 20 games that come out every year, and they're all great, and they all are worth at least trying. For $20, you can't afford not to. So yeah, way to support the little guy like All Play.
I mean, all of these companies are relatively little compared to, a Hasbro.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we had very similar lists. I had Gamehead, I had Bitewing, I had Stonemaier, and I had All Play on my list.
Wow, I was gonna say, man, I was like, holy cow, we didn't cross over at all. That's wild.
The last one I'm going to shout out is 25th Century Games, because they have been like digging up old games and giving them new life, kind of similar to Bitewing. But they are like importing games that don't get wide publications here in America, and they publish them here via Kickstarter, and they import just enough. And I love that they are like making those older games that are inaccessible accessible here in the States, and accessible to those that may have tried them or found them online or something, and making them like a reasonable price point and, available to the public. So I honestly can't shout out any of their games off the top of my head that came out this year, but they are constantly, putting out awesome stuff. And I that's a publisher that like kind of snuck up on me a little bit, is 25th Century. And man, they all their games are like highly produced, and
all you gotta do is invoke Ra. And
Ra.
Everybody knows what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
They did Ra. They did it right.
Yep. And that I think they re-released that one this year too. Was like the Pharaoh edition, Gold edition, or whatever.
That might have been 2024, but
I think they did it again this year because they sold out so quickly. So stuff like that. Like they're just giving it new life, and you have to give it up for publishers that are, making those old board games new again.
Yeah. Because board games used to look like crap.
And now they look pretty good.
Yeah.
For the most part, they look pretty good.
Pieces of art.
Yeah.
I love it.
Did we do it?
We did it.
We did it. All right. That has been our publishers that had a killer year. I have been Travis.
Oh,
Clayton.
One more. And this might honestly should have been the first one, top of mind. CMYK Games.
Yeah, that was on my list too.
Dang, they crushed it.
Yeah.
Magical Athlete, Hot Streak, winners. I
Yeah.
know the magenta line has been kind of a sore subject for some people. I
Okay.
like that. I just re-upped my no thanks. I had the old nasty looking no thanks version.
Yeah.
I just got the magenta no thanks leveled up. All right. I want to get all their magenta boxes and sit
Oh
them next
man.
to each other on the shelf. It looks awesome. I mean, Wilmot's Warehouse is so unique. I mean, they just, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
They put out games that are fun for the family, are a riot. I mean, just right in the weight class that I'm loving games right now. And their production is top notch. Their rule books are interesting. Like they
Yeah.
go about it in a way they're like not subjecting themselves to the rules. Like they're not just following in line with what everybody else does.
Yeah.
And I love that. CMYK. I can't believe I almost forgot.
That was literally the top of my list. And when I wrote down my publishers, that was the first one that came to mind. So
Wow.
well done. I think we did a pretty comprehensive look at all the publishers that did pretty good stuff this year. So
Yeah.
let's sign off. I have been Travis. He has been Clay. This has been Operation Game Night, and we're out.